Welcome back to Cursed Mining, and today it's an ASIC video for a change. We are tweaking an Antminer L3+. But no worries, some critique is following too. So we have seen an L3++ released, which is claimed to be quieter, or at least more efficient, or more powerful than the L3+. But basically rumors have been around that it's nothing other than an ordinary L3+ with just updated firmware. So what are we going to do? Exactly, we are upgrading our L3+ to a L3++. This video will be a how to do it, and we'll talk a bit about my own mixed results later, but you should decide for yourself if you want to try it. First, we are checking my L3+ as it is. I overclocked it to 425 MHz, giving me around 560 MHz per second. This is the setting I found giving me an acceptable number of hardware errors while still giving me more hash rate. So let's see if we can make the L3+ to the L3++. First, we check the website of the devil, BITMAIN, and we can find the firmware of the L3++ somewhat hidden at the bottom of their support page. Links will be in the description. So we are heading to the update tab, and first, just to be safe, I am making a backup of the current firmware, and here's also where I want to give you a little disclaimer. BITMAIN claims that when you lose power during the update process, your Antminer will be bricked and has to be sent in. So please only do this at your own risk. I'm only showing you how to do it because I really wanted to know the difference, and we will look at some 48-hour results later. After the backup, we can update the firmware and choose to keep our settings. So we will leave it at my overclock and just update the firmware for now. The dashboard says it will probably take 90 seconds, but it took a bit longer for me. After some refreshes, indeed, our L3+ suddenly became an L3++. And now it gets interesting, because looking at the hash rate, I first thought, well, actually do see better hash rates, but I decided to keep it for some days and check in regularly to the dashboard and also to the pool. It eventually went down to its 560 MHz and even a bit below that. But the strange thing is that the main pool we are trying, Litecoin pool, is showing much higher hash rates, and I found it to be pretty accurate in the past. It's strange. So the update was on Friday, and I decided to leave it like this until Sunday, when I'll start to prepare this video. And the only real way to know a difference will be to look at my 24-hour Litecoin return, which is at 0254 a day with old firmware and overclock settings. If it's really beyond 600 MHz with the same overclock, we should see at least a little difference. And yep, the days of more than 0.1 Litecoin per day are long over. I checked up on it the following 2 days, and the results are strange. Sometimes the Antminer's dashboard will show higher hash rates, sometimes the pool would show higher hash rates, but it basically seems that the hash rate actually dropped a little bit. After more than 1 day, Sunday at noon, my 24 earnings dropped slightly, and even though I see some hash rate spikes here and there, it seems to have been generally stayed the same or even dropped a bit. Temperatures dropped by, well, 1 degree, so also nothing to write home about. So, is this experiment a fail? I'm not sure. For once, we know that machines like the L3++, or I'm pretty sure also something like the S9i, are basically the same things as their originals, just with slightly different firmwares. So congratulations to BITMAIN for another selling strategy. But it also makes you wonder about their advertised hash rates. The latest L3++ batch I could find is advertised with 580 MHz, and indeed my overclocked upgraded L3++ is sometimes showing 580 MHz or even a bit more at the pool. But in reality we are hashing even a bit less. So I have some questions for you if any one of you has an actual L3++. Could you keep an eye on your hash rate, and would you like to compare them with me? Also, can you check your overclocks and the megahertz settings? If someone wants to connect on this, I would be really interested to have a little discussion. I don't want to say this is a ploy to trick new miners, but I do find these initial findings interesting, because with the old firmware, my hash rate would never fluctuate much, so also no spikes, but at least consistent hashing. The next thing to do for me will be to check if I can get away with higher overclocks with the new firmware, but not before I can get rid of the last splitter cable on the machine, which still couldn't happen until now. And generally another piece of info, if you've never heard about Antminer custom firmwares, there are others around too, like Bliss firmware, which allows you more tweaking. But we can look into those in another video. There have even been some copyright clashes about Antminer firmwares in the past, so this is a whole nother topic. Still, maybe I could give you some inspiration for tweaking your Antminers to still get a bit more out of it. As I said, people have claimed to reach higher hash rates or even better efficiency, but I still have to test both, because a kilowatt and the volume meter are already in the way for me to give you more accurate readings in the future. So this is how you upgrade your L3 Plus to an L3 Plus Plus for better or worse. If you already did this, please share your findings in the comments. Did it improve for you? Could you reach higher overclocks? Is your Antminer more efficient? I want to look more into this and we'll do another video for overclocks only. But that's already it for this week. A little how-to on firmware upgrades, and thank you very much for tuning in. Happy mining to all of you, and bye!